Welcome back to the Voice of Truth. Jeff Arnold, Jim Moore. I've been talking about this conflict in Israel, between Israel and Hamas, or the Palestinians. I don't want to use that word Hamas. It's
a little misleading, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
because it's directed at the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
I mean, they may use Hamas as a word. It's like we're going after the Marine Corps, but that school's standing in the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That school, we're going after Marines, we're going after the militia, the military, but that school happens to be in the way, so they're going to get removed.
Yeah.
So basically, this war is against the Palestinian people to eliminate them or run them off.
Well, it really is. And we said on Monday, 77,000 wounded, 34,000 killed of the Palestinians, 34,000. 70% of them are women and children. They're starving, no electricity. And you know what? Who controls all the electricity and water that goes into Gaza? Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you some history here.
And again, we are supporting it financially.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out later on.
Yeah, hopefully on this show.
Yeah, later on that we're probably doing more than you would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, stay tuned. Let me give you just a little history here. I'm going to start October 7th, 2023. Hamas evaded, surprise attack. In that attack, it was atrocious. We're not condoning any of that. In that attack, 1,500 Israelis dead, 1,000 injured, hundreds kidnapped. They was, horrible stuff that went on. Netanyahu announced after that a complete siege. Okay? Now, I'm just giving you some notes here because this has been going on for a long time. Because Gaza, what's left of Gaza Strip, is one of the most densely populated places on the earth. So when we're talking war, we're not talking jungle warfare. We're talking urban warfare, buildings, collateral damage.
And I'd like to ask this question to anybody listening. How did you put it? Benjamin Netanyahu said what?
Complete siege.
A complete siege of Palestine. Or the Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
How many people that call themselves Christians applauded that?
Mm-hmm.
Said, way to go. Finally, this is going to be over. Because when I was a senior in high school, I done a paper, and it's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. I done a paper on Yasser Arafat winning the Nobel Peace Prize and how they made a deal.
Oslo.
Yeah, how they made a deal with Israel and brokered a peace deal. There was going to be peace in the region, blah, blah, blah. It blew up, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Now that was, 40 years ago?
Yeah, 1979.
Back and forth, and any of you that's my age or older, this thing's been going on forever, right?
Yeah.
So when Netanyahu says, we're going to put an end to it, we're going to wipe them out, okay? Most Christians that say, I believe the Bible, and I believe we should turn the other cheek, but not in this case. Mm-hmm. We should take them out.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how is that?
I know. Something has drastically changed.
The doctrine of Christ is this. Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Deacon Stephen being stoned to death. Father, lay not this sin to their children.
Yeah, he didn't say, you just wait. We're gonna make
none of that.
We're gonna make a parking lot out of you.
That's right.
No, he didn't say that.
Mm.
No.
Neither is that the God that I know.
Right.
The God that I know is complete love.
Yeah.
For all of humanity.
Yeah. Well, let me give you just a little bit of history here. So we say, how did this start? And I'm going to go back to the Ottoman Empire, but this goes way, way back because, God had given them the land. He brought them into the land. He had dispossessed all the ites out of the land. They had the land. And then, they were under constant siege. When they would not do what they were supposed to do, we kind of go back to the law and say they were breaking the Ten Commandments. They wasn't breaking the Ten Commandments in that sense. They were, just like we read in Isaiah, Your rulers are with thieves, and they take bribes, and they don't hear the widow's calls, and they don't, they don't help the strangers. They don't do any of that stuff.
The empire that they had built themselves was getting tore down.
Yeah. So we know from history, here comes the Babylonians. The Assyrians take the northern tribes away. The Babylonians take the southern kingdom of Israel away. Well, then we know Daniel's prophecy, they come back. Not all of them came back, but they come back, they build a temple, then they fall under the Roman Empire. And really this goes all the way back up to, it began in 55 AD. I won't have all these names right, but they started a rebellion against the Roman Empire in 55, which ended in 70 AD with the destruction of the temple. Then that brings you all the way up to, I think, 132 AD, and I can't remember what the Cobalt Revolt or something like that, which was in 132, I think, AD. You can look it up. And so they rebelled again against the Roman empires, and this time this war lasted 4 years. And this time Rome said, now this was Rome because of the rebellious nature of the Hebrews, they refused them entry ever again into Jerusalem. So boom, that's it. You guys are out. Because even after they destroyed the temple, they let them back. Well, it was constant rebellion. And then after this, I think it's in 132 AD, boom, they're out. Never again to return. So now they're just kind of dispersed all over the place. So jump forward to the Ottoman Empire. This goes back to the Rothschilds and all. They were trying to, I forget what deal they tried to broker to get the Israelites to come back. But anyway, who had settled in that land for thousands of years was the Arab people called the Palestinians. They had settled in that land. They'd settled there. They lived there for thousands of years. Okay? The Romans had kicked the Jews out.
And the Ottoman Empire, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about 1912, 1913, 14.
Yeah.
This is more recent history than way back yonder. This is World War I, basically. So the Palestinians have settled all around what is now Israel.
They were in it. Yeah, I mean it was Palestinian.
That's right, because Romans had kicked them out and they was dispersed everywhere. So let's get that history straight. The Romans, until this point.
Yeah, and after the Ottoman Empire was defeated in World War I, Ottomans go down. The Brits, Great Britain, took control of the area known as Palestine, and a strip of land between the River Jordan and Mediterranean Sea. Well, we would call it Israel, but it was from Jordan River to Mediterranean Sea. Okay, that was the land of Palestine. And it was occupied by an Arab majority and a Jewish minority. That's how it was. And the international community had tasked Britain with setting up a, quote, national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. But both the Jews and Arabs claimed that historical Palestine was their land. Both of them was claiming it. From the 20s up to the 40s, many of the Jewish people fled to Palestine to escape the persecution going on in Europe and under Germany. So they come back to this land to escape those atrocities of the Holocaust. But that only incited the Arab population. Because remember, it started out the Arabs were the most and the Jews were the minority. So violence broke out between the Jews and the Arabs again, and they even turned on the Brits and run the Brits out. Okay, the Brits said, we're done. So in 1947, the United Nations, here we go with the UN, voted for Palestine to be split into separate Jewish and Arab states.
Hence Gaza and Israel.
Jerusalem and a holy land. Jerusalem would be a holy land for both. And Jerusalem would become an international city for both. Okay? The Jewish leaders embraced the plan, but the Arab leaders did not. So here we go with the stalemate. So in 1948, the Brits realized the problem couldn't be solved by them anyway. So they left, and the Jewish leaders declared themselves the state of Israel. Okay, that's how they came into being. This is not Bible prophecy. This is political
History.
History here. Yeah. And they got the backing of then President Harry Truman, who was the only guy in history to ever drop nuclear weapons on a civilian population of the Japanese. I just got to make that note right there. So if I get kicked off of YouTube, oh well. But, when you're at war, you target military stuff and, all of that. You don't drop bombs on
a city,
on civilian cities, especially nuclear weapons. But they did. Anyway, that's the kind of man he was. So this, Truman back in Israel becoming a state, this didn't go well with the Palestinians. A war broke out with neighboring Arab countries, including Jordan and Egypt. They joined the fight. And so you got the beginning of this Arab-Israeli or Palestinian conflict. It was catastrophic for the Palestinians because hundreds of thousands fled by the time the fighting ended the following year. And now the map is redrawn, and Israel now owns most of the land. It started out with Israel, the Israelis owned it a little bit. Well, now they just take over more and more and more. So Jordan sided with the Palestinians, which became known as the West Bank, while Egypt occupied Gaza. Okay? So Jerusalem was divided between the Israeli forces in the west and the Jordanian forces in the east. Right here in one city. And there was never a peace agreement between them. So each side blamed the other, and this war continued on for decades. Fast forward to June 5th, 1967, the beginning of the Six-Day War, the map was redrawn again. Israel captured and occupied the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and other Arab territories. The thing is, most Palestinian refugees and their descendants live in Gaza and the West Bank. And neither they nor their descendants have been allowed to ever return to their homes. So imagine you're just living there. I was telling you earlier, it's like you're living down in Churchill, Tennessee. And all of a sudden, these people come in and say, you're out.
Mm-hmm. I'm taking over.
I'm taking over.
And that's exactly what happened.
They showed videos of these Israelis just walking in, and they would just say, we're taking your house. Mm-hmm. And these weren't military. These were just like, hey, it's now ours.
We're in.
So you can see this hostility. I would be angry.
Yeah, this is not imagination. This is just basically history.
Yeah.
I mean, you can watch it on YouTube, but you can watch a girl. There's this girl on YouTube that goes through every bit of this right here. I mean, it's facts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And,
people watching, they may say, well, you guys are awfully bold because you're really telling, and most of our audience, I'd say, are conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I'm pro-America. I'm also pro-Russia.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I was thinking, you guys are being, if I was out on the outside looking in, you guys are really not just going along with everything we hear to get along.
Yeah.
No, we're not. Because, see, I learned a long time ago, I am not concerned so much with who's got my back as who's out in front of me. And I know who's out in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
I trust that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only reason I can sit here and say these things and agree with a lot of the things you say.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Right.
I know he's out in front.
Yeah.
And I know his doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's love.
Well, Israel says if they was to give the Palestinians their land back, give their homes back, they said it would overwhelm the country and threaten its existence as a Jewish state. Well, let me give you, I'm in the Old Testament, the Old Testament, the Torah. That is the Jewish, and they will claim this very book. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Netanyahu knows this. But I'm just going to give you some verses out of the book that he probably has no dealings with, but he is a Jewish person, he claims. But this is Jewish out of Exodus, written by Moses for them. Exodus 22, Verse 21, thou shalt neither vex a stranger, nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Now they were strangers in the land of Egypt. Moses brought them out, and because God brought them out, one of the rules was, guys, remember what it was like for you. Don't you ever do anybody like you were done.
That's what it says.
That's what it says. Now you would think, oh, he's pulled that verse out of context. Let's look at another one. Exodus 23.
I don't see how it could mean anything else.
Yeah. Exodus 23, verse 9. I was in Exodus 22. I'm going to be in 23. And this is the giving of the law. Exodus 20, 21, 22, the giving of the law. So this is what the Jews should abide by. Also, thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing you were strangers in Egypt. Again, there's two verses. Let's go to another one. And there's plenty here. Let me go over here to Leviticus chapter 19. Bear with me while I flip over to Leviticus 19, verse 34. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you. Thou shalt love him as thyself. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Now that's how many verses we done read 3 that tells us how we're to treat strangers and not oppress. And you shall love them as one born in your own land. So even if it is the God-given land, and you know what? According to scriptures, God gave Israel that land. But then he says this is how you will treat the strangers. Not 34,000 dead, 70% of them being women and children.
Amen.
Okay, but we're not done yet. Let's go to Deuteronomy. This is the second giving of the law, chapter 10, verse 19. Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in Egypt. Well, I mean, we just keep going back to this, don't we? How about Deuteronomy 24 and 14? Deuteronomy 24 and 14. Thou shalt not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of the strangers that are in thy land within thy gates.
On and on and on.
On and on. Don't oppress the stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Love
you
him as
you can't get past it.
You know, so, but anyway, let me keep going with a little bit of history right there, because I wonder if these people who want to make parking lots and all this other stuff, if they read these verses here, if they understand the compassion here. So Israel still occupies the West Bank, and even though it pulled out of Gaza, the UN still recognized the land as occupied territory. Starting in 1979 and culminating in the 90s in Oslo, the Palestinian and Israeli leaders met and negotiated a two-state solution. This was what you did your paper on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The initial promise and optimism gave way to anger and distrust, and by the year 2000, violence erupted. The most recent peace plan came from Trump in 2020. The Abraham Accords, right?
Yeah.
Netanyahu, who owns America, by the way, said it was the deal of the century. But the Palestinians scoffed at it, saying it was one-sided, so tensions remained incredibly high, particularly in East Jerusalem, Gaza, and the West Bank. Since 2007, Gaza has been ruled by a Palestinian militant group called Hamas, which has battled Israel countless times. They won the election. I won't go into all the politics of that. The Palestinians say they're suffering because of Israeli actions and restrictions. Now, this has been going on, like I said, back in the 2000s. So Israel has cut off their communication. Since the Palestinians are not considered a country, they can't have any international trade, right? Because they're not a country. They're not recognized as a country. But Israel is, because they declared their own self, backed by Harry Truman.
Right.
A state. Okay? So, but Israel controls the water, controls electricity, controls all the food, everything that goes in, so they cut it off. Okay? And Israelis say it's only acting to protect itself from Palestinian violence. So you can see how these things are going to be going back and forth. So things ramped up again in mid-April 2021. People forget. which was the start of the holy Muslim month of Ramadan. So when this started up, there were daily violent clashes between Israeli police and Palestinians in Ramadan, in their holy month. So the Israelis are busting them up. So there were many forced evictions of the Palestinian families in East Jerusalem. They were living there, kicked them out, which inflamed the situations. And the Israelis would just walk in and take over their homes. We talked about that. Then Israel unleashed devastating airstrikes on Gaza. Now we see they said who started the war, right? Mm-hmm. While Hamas countered with hundreds of rockets fired back at Israel. The conflicting claims over Jerusalem is at the emotional core of this conflict. And Egypt and these other nations have been trying to broker peace, but none can. And I will tell you this, the Americans don't want peace over there. Mm-mm. They don't want peace over there.
Why not?
I'll let you dive into that one.
Well, from what I understand, there's several $1 million, $237 million spent for something to extract $370 million sent over there to extract oil and natural gas out of the Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
So one, you have to make a war, and then two, whoever's remaining, you got to get them out. Okay, so starve them out, freeze them out, hot them out, whatever, and send them to America as refugees. Bring them in. They want you offer them a place here. They don't want a place here.
No, they don't.
They don't want a place. They want their own home.
Yeah,
right?
They want their homes back.
That's right. They want their homes back, just like I would. Don't offer me somewhere else. I want my place.
Yeah.
So they offer them a place here. They're going to add to our economy. They're going to make a better life for themselves. Believe me. That's what they're selling them. Believe me, you all. You want to be here. Mm-hmm. To get them out so we can do what we do, which is extract the natural resources out of the area. And it's back to the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah. You guys, they're building a $370 million pier.
Get a hold of that.
In Gaza. They had to clean it out, which they did. And guys, if you think we're joking, go watch Matt Gaetz talk to...
ask questions. A senator, a United States senator...
asking the Secretary of Defense.
He says, you say, well, Biden, the administration says there will be no boots on the ground over there in Gaza.
But there's going to be 1,000 of U.S. American troops on the pier with rifles.
On the pier! Now, get a load of that, right? There ain't going to be no boots on the ground. They'll be standing on the pier with guns.
Guarding
now,
the
think
oil
about that for a second.
And the natural gas.
Oh, my gosh. It's maddening, ain't it?
Which could have helped the Palestinians.
Oh, no question.
But we want it, and we're taking it. So Netanyahu,
hence the money sent to feed the beast, for the war machine, to clean them out, so we can clean them out.
Yeah, 70% women and children killed. 34,000.
And you don't have to believe these two hillbillies.
No, go,
in
you can check it out.
Yeah, you don't have to believe us, but you can absolutely do your research and you'll find it's a fact.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Here they
That's
are.
what happens.
$370 million pier that your tax dollars are paying for, and my tax dollars are paying for. $10 billion that we just sent over there to Israel. Ukraine war going on, Israeli war going on, preparing for the Taiwan and all this stuff. And the bottom line is, it comes right back to oil. Mm-hmm. That's why we're over there. I mean, this is the whole thing. And then at the same time, Netanyahu, he is a Yahoo.
So you got to ask yourself the question. And I mean, you got to ask yourself seriously the question. Are you so comfortable under the wing of the dragon that you'll let it go?
Yeah.
Are you that comfortable with your 3-car garage and your full refrigerator that you can, as a Christian person, let this atrocity go on.
Let me tell you this.
Without saying something.
Here's the strange thing to add to this. George Soros is a Jew.
And supporting every bit of it.
Why would George Soros be paying for all of these college protests? He's a Jew. Because they're standing up, you know, and you think, well, he ought to be anti-Palestinian. Well, guys, here's the simple math. Because where's all your news? What was you watching? You're watching college protests, and you're thinking, these college students are crazy.
Seen it as soon as I turned on the TV this morning.
Yeah, that's all. These college kids are crazy, man. They're just
cleaning
crazy.
out UCLA, right? University of
Columbia.
Yeah, they're cleaning them out. I mean, that's the first thing I
University
seen
of
on
Michigan.
Fox
Yeah.
News this morning when I turned it on. And I was like, wow, this thing's getting pretty serious, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's all of America saying the same thing.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. Well, we're distracting you from this pier going on.
Yeah,
over in
we're
Gaza.
distracting you while we blew up 221,000 homes, cleaned out the Palestinians so that we could build a $370 million pier to steal their oil and gas.
Yep. That's
Wow.
what it amounts to. Exactly.
Wow. So it ain't no wonder that George Soros was funding the pro-Palestinian because everybody in America was watching.
Listen. Whatever news you watch, Fox, CNN, I don't care what it is,
They're all junk.
you will receive exactly what they want you to receive to keep you like a mushroom.
Yeah. And Netanyahu...
Feed you BS and keep you in the shade.
Netanyahu knows, hey, all he's got to do is come and say, we're Israel, and what's gonna happen. All the evangelical Christians are going to say, oh my God, you got to bless Israel. You got to bless whatever Israel wants, we got to cater to. So he knows he's got Israel here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm doing here? He's got him right here. And he can do whatever he wants to do because we are Israel, and America is just so... You know, hey, yeah, we got to support Israel. Let's see let's go back and see what the next movie is on Netflix.
Do not think for a second that Joe Biden is running this country. Anthony Blinken is running foreign affairs, and Mayorkas is running internal affairs, right?
Yeah.
And they're both running the show.
Yeah.
I mean,
answering to
Benjamin Netanyahu, who is playing us like a fiddle.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what to say. He knows exactly what moves to make. He's a wise man.
Yeah. And you know,
who can make war with the beast?
Who can make war with the beast? But I can tell you that America, you know, here we are. America became empire in World War II, after World War II. And from that time on, we have known nothing but wars and defeat in wars and economic downturns and worse, and we see it imploding from the inside. We could have used our prosperity that the Lord has so richly given us to help.
Oh, yeah.
And lift up and bring out of oppression so many people around the world.
Ain't that the truth?
And we haven't done it.
No.
Now all we're doing is raping people.
Now, and all you got to see is the countdown. Because there is a countdown. People say, well, prophecy's not being fulfilled. But no, but a reoccurring of history is.
Yeah.
Because we are empire, just like the Roman Empire, just like the Ottoman Empire. It's over and over and over. So is the American Empire. And it's counting down. All you got to do is look at that debt clock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you see how bad we're going. $34 trillion. And when we come back on Friday, I'm going to explain exactly what $34 trillion looks like.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
amazing. I hope you're enjoying these shows, man. We're just kind of giving you some stuff. I hope YouTube doesn't kick us off, but if they do all well, we'll be back. So we'll see you Friday.
God bless.
God bless. Don and Jeff and myself, we really want to thank you guys for tuning in. You don't know what it means to us to have you guys listening. The one thing that you could do to help us out is hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment. Ask questions in the comments if you want. I am going to leave a link. I'll post it down below For our church services on Wednesday and Sundays, I put those on a different YouTube channel. So I will share that with you guys, give you the link so you can go see what time. We would love to have you come and join us. And, we just love putting out this voice of truth, having our discussions. What you see is what you get. We try to put them out every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 9 a.m. I will tell you, I'm a full-time pastor, but I also work full-time. Jeff works full-time, so it's hard for us to do those things all the time. But again, we're so thankful you tune in. Thank you for all the subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. You can hit the notification button. You'll know when they're coming out. And guys, again, we are so thankful that you're tuning in. Thank you so much. We will keep bringing this stuff to you. And we will see you again. Lord bless.